Good afternoon, everyone. Taking a look back at massive solar flares 1770. New map out where electrical disturbances occurred. And with these shifts on a multi-thousand-year pattern in the West African monsoon, more rainfall, bringing on a brand new grow zone that will be the world's largest, using above and below groundwater resources. Example here, Tunisia, 3 months of rain in a single day. Algeria as well, record crops across these areas. And Trump states it will get cooler, just you watch. I think it's soft disclosure on the grand solar minimum. Perhaps a victory garden campaign is in the works so we all can grow our own food, which is going to be a necessity moving forward on this 400-year cycle that no politician wanted to talk about until now. And yet another data breach, consumer credit reporting agency Experian, revealing that the information of 24 million individuals and 800,000 businesses in South Africa, exposing them to phishing attempts. And this should be a highlight to us all on how important it is to take our online identity seriously, and the best way to do that is through the use of a VPN. You can head over to virtualshield.com, and in the download tab, I'm going to choose Firefox. And click Install Now to add the Virtual Shield add-on. It's just that easy. And get started with your free 30-day trial. Install it, click Connect. You'll see the shield turn from red to green. And you'll see how from my initial service provider, I was able to even change my IP. Virtual Shield Network protected. Due to the recent pandemic, Virtual Shield is offering its services for 50% off to help customers in need to protect themselves as they work from home. The link's in the description box below. Came across his paper here, Temporal and Spatial Evolutions of Large Sunspot Groups in the Auroral Storm of the Carrington event 1859. And with the observations and records, this seems to be the largest geomagnetic storm in observational history. They also do go back into the 1770 lithographs of red auroras way down in southern Japan, Kyushu Island, which would have been nearly as intense as what we experienced during the Carrington event here. Now, up until this paper, the initial plots shown for disturbances in electrical grids, telegraph, communications, etc. were limited to North America in this map here. But in the newly released paper, they greatly expand the area to cover even the southern hemisphere and the disturbances, and you'll see in Australia, New Zealand, parts of South America, in addition to what was spotted in the United States, and an enormous amount of new locations, even in the Atlantic, spotted by ships. So they put everything together that could have been correlated as a report with eyes on the aurora visibility from the 29th of August to the 3rd of September, 1859. Now, the red dots are newly archived, discovered reports of this event as universities and museums were scanning collections. These were these accounts of red dots had come from. The blue are known observational areas. So when somebody says to me, oh, you're going to lose your cryptocurrency if we have a Carrington type event, I'll say, look at the amount of the planet's surface that wasn't affected because it was on the opposite side of the sun when this event occurred. So yes, cryptocurrency will survive the next Carrington event. And strangely, President Trump out in California talking about the wildfires and says straight up to Newsom, it will start getting cooler, just you watch. And Wade Crowfoot says, I wish the science agreed with you. And Trump says back, well, I don't think science knows actually. But it was unclear whether he meant getting colder was referring to the approach in the season or the grand solar minimum onset with all the changes in the atmosphere. I think it was the latter, because when we're coming into this grand solar minimum, a 400-year cycle that is already affecting so many things on our planet, shifting rainfall patterns, drought patterns, and the wipe out of crops. Food inflation is going to go through the roof when we enter the holiday season, and we understand how minimal the yields are across the northern hemisphere, especially with the wipeout in China this year with the massive floods, and then Typhoon Haishan taking out the rest of the corn crop up in Heirloom. This is a 400-year cycle, a civilization reset cycle, and then look at all the other events happening around that are a reshaping of civilization as well during the same culmination of all these cycles, including the fourth turning. Now, in early 2019, I put out this crop loss map, forecast reduction yields. Green is where we're focusing because these are the new areas that can be brought on. Blue are the countries that are going to last about 5 to 7 years longer than the countries in red, which have already lost massive production, are going to lose more every year forward. The reason I'm so focused on the Sahel in northern Africa is because this massive change in the West African monsoon is going to increase an enormous amount of rainfall in Africa. Now, whoever knew this cycle would have known that this area can become a new crop growing zone for the planet. And I will state it, even in writing through my presentation, that I use this slide. Whoever controls this grow zone will dominate the 21st century. It's 13,800 square kilometers of growing area that can get a double crop, intense sunshine, and an enormous labor pool. All you would have to do now is tap the Nubian aquifer beneath all of that and the above ground water rainfall, and you have a new grow zone. So look who's been pivoting and doing so much investment in trying to control that area, and who's losing food continentally as a superpower. You shall get your answer. Because all I've been doing is following the flood cycle to prove my hypothesis that this area is getting wetter naturally, and with the wells and the thousands and thousands of cubic kilometers of water under the desert there, you can grow infinite crops. Africa's record rainfall stretches resources. This is through the entire Sahel, all the way from West Africa, clear over to Somalia and everywhere in between. I'm going to focus on the last 2 days' events here in Tunisia and Algeria. Pin on the map there, just south of Tunis, this city here, Kourouin, receives more than 3 months worth of rain in the rainy season in a 24-hour period. They are so unprepared for these types of floods. Anywhere in the world is completely unprepared for this. Qasr and Halal also getting pounded. And we're looking at least waist-deep water through almost every single city, central, eastern, and south. And that would explain the record bumper crop yield of 2018-19 and 1920 here as we come into the harvest season. Kourouin, easy to find on the average weather at WeatherSpark, September 26th. They even have it on the map here. Average rainfall for the month of September, that was 89 millimeters, which is around 3.5 inches falling there. And beyond the severe flooding hitting Tunisia, rainfall does not stop at the border. Algeria also. Look at the velocity of the water slamming against the poles. That is a full-on raging river down the streets there. This is in Algiers. In the aftermath of the flood, as the raging torrent subsided into just standing water, this is what you get. And we're starting to see this around the globe. I don't care what country you go to, no city and country is ready for exponential amounts of rain above their monthly or yearly totals in hours. And I link below the video here from EDD during the storm, and you can actually see the flows. There's a surge. It almost like sea waves coming in and out in the streets there. Fascinating video to watch. And through flood list as well, you can track down all the floods through the different countries there, North Africa, Central Africa, and the Sahel, with a bunch of different glimpses on how deep the water is, all through areas that are supposed to be arid and getting more arid. I think not. The multi-thousand-year shift in rainfall patterns is returning. These areas were once verdant forests and grasslands. That cycle shift has returned. Science will tell you it takes hundreds or thousands of years to reshift. I'm going to say it's going to happen in less than 10 because there's a lot that's not being told to us and how fast these cycles onset. And as we enter into solar cycle 25, which is now as low of solar activity as the Dalton minimum in 1810, we're going to continue down from here into a 400-year low and then further on through solar cycle 26 into something we haven't seen in millennia. I talk about this on my Patreon channel /Adapt2030, Fingerprints of the Grand Solar Minimum. I think Trump just came out with soft disclosure on you should get ready to grow your own food and be more self-sufficient off the supply chains. All the links for tonight's stories, videos, and images are in the description box below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.